Hello and welcome to a view from the South Stand. I've got Ian with me today, and just finished Burnley 1, Spurs 0. Ian, let's. Is that a typical Spurs after a big win?
Isn't it typical? Isn't it typical? And yet we didn't play badly. I guess the worst of it is they were the better side in the first half, without creating too much. But second half, we were dominating. Sessegnon gives away an unnecessary free kick. The ball's floated in. People have got their views on it. I mean, I read something. I didn't read much because there wasn't much time to before I came on. That me or Romero lost me. Frankly, I just think he got a run on him. My if I'm attributing any blame, it's with Lloris. I think Lloris has got to come and claim it. Me is 4 yards out when he heads it. I know the wind is difficult and what have you, but it's blowing the ball towards his goal. It's not going in. I think a proper goalkeeper comes and gets that and takes it and holds it.
Do you think the first half kind of cost us the game, really? Because Burnley had their tails up in the first half and grew in confidence as the game went on. And then as soon as they realised they could defend, they thought, actually, we can get Spurs by a set piece. Or do you just think it was a case of bad day at the office?
I don't even think it was a bad day at the office, Marlon. I just think it was one piece of quality, one error. I mean, the cross was superb right into the danger area, and one finish. I don't think there was much between the sides. If Rodriguez missed an absolute sitter with 5 minutes or so to go, should have absolutely buried it. But we had chances as well. We could have won it 2-1. We could have lost it 2-0. It could have been a draw. We lost 1-0. It's just one of those games where I guess the top teams win them and we don't.
Yeah.
I don't think we played badly.
Spurs? Yeah, is that typical Spurs? Because it seems to be our main thing this season, where our front three are not firing in games like this. It's not the first time. So do you think, even with Kulu, and then when Mora came on, it just seemed to flatten the boys going forward? Yeah. I felt like that was it. We didn't really create nothing after Mora came on.
I think what was interesting is that Decky went to right wing back and looked exceptionally good there. And his delivery, left foot and right foot, he had a couple of shots. One left foot curler into the far post that was really inches wide. And those are the small margins which, any level, but certainly in football. The fine margins between winning and losing. And I thought he looked really good there. Certainly Raul's a better defender, but we all know he doesn't have a lot of quality when he goes into that final third. And Kulusevski certainly does have it. Mora, or form. Son is the big worry. I think a lot of people I'm worried. I did Spurs Eurasian TV, and there was talk about Sonny, and of course, there's a lot of people from Asia on that channel for obvious reasons, and Sonny just doesn't look right. He doesn't have that confidence when he's charging at goal. He's sort of going past players. He seems to have lost a yard of pace. So whether he's carrying an injury or it's just a loss of confidence or what, he's just not the same player he was before his injury. Mora doesn't have enough goals. I mean, I think we know we're going to need to strengthen up front. Mora again had a shot, leant back, fires it over the bar. Again, one of those ones goes in. Bergwijn had a chance. They made a mistake at the back. They didn't make many. Ball went to Son. He played a nice little ball in, outside of his right foot or inside of his right foot from Bergwijn. Pope saves it. But I just see the comment in the chat. There's Guguma's on. So hi, Guguma. Good evening. Just talking about your favourite player.
Yeah, with Sonny at the moment, do you think it is a confidence thing, an injury thing, or do you think it's a case of, because in the first half, I felt like we were a lot better going forward than we were in the second. And do you think Winks and Højbjerg in midfield, did it work in the second half? Even though we were playing slightly better, do you think it was kind of, it was a case of I thought Højbjerg completely changed in the second half when Winks came on. His whole game had changed. Um, and I felt like he was giving the ball away a lot more than he was in the first half.
Yeah. Not sure what we're getting from Højbjerg. One week he's good, one week he's bad. But I have to tell you, I thought Winks played really well when he came on. His passing was extremely good, accurate. He doesn't always go forward, but what he always does is keep the ball, and he moves the team around, and he moves the opposition players around.
Well, that was my next question.
Right.
Going to be actually, but just regarding Winks, because yes, you could say technically he played well, but do you think he moves the ball quick enough for the forward players? I felt like a lot of the time he was going backwards, where Bentancur in the first half was giving us, he was going between the lines, where Winks ain't going to give us that. So I kind of felt like Kane, even though they asked Kane to play further forward, I felt like Kane kind of then, nothing was going up to him. So because actually it was kind of Winks wasn't seeing the pots quick enough, and that's nothing against him or Højbjerg. It's just when they're just a mismatch in midfield, and I felt like that's where Burnley were going to get a lot of joy out of us in the second half.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure I necessarily agree with that, Marlon. I think everybody sort of has this view. Winks always does this, does that, goes forward. I mean, one thing I've noticed with Winks since certainly this season, and certainly since Conte's been there, is I think his first instinct is to try and find a forward ball. And when he can't see that forward ball, what he does, instead of hitting an aimless ball or a 50-50 ball, he will play it sideways or back in order to retain possession of the football. So I think he sometimes gets an unfair press because he doesn't always do what people would like him to do. Bentancur was clearly carrying that knock, and I think that was sensible to take him off. We controlled that first half hour of the second half. And I think Winks was as much a part of it as anybody else. I think part of the problem, if you compare it, say, with Manchester City, is that clearly Sean Dyche had them set up in terms of Harry Kane when he would come deep and what have you, and there was two and three players around him, so there wasn't that space to exploit. There wasn't that as much room for the wing backs because of the way they set up, and when they haven't got the ball, they are extremely solid and difficult. And that's what I say. I don't think there was much in that game. I just think they got the break. Maybe we made the mistake. And we didn't. I mean, and that is just football. I'm disappointed because it was a big game. But if we'd have played badly, like for example we played against Wolves or even against Southampton, I would have been even more disappointed. I think one word you may want to come on to him. I thought Romero was utterly brilliant. I know some people might blame him for the goal. I
was 50-50 on Romero tonight. I thought he tackled very well, but I felt like sometimes he was getting caught out of position quite a bit. And I wasn't surprised that he didn't know Ben Mee was behind him to get the run on the goal. I think that's where Romero's got to learn the English game. And it's not a case of, he wasn't to say he was bad. It was just more of a case of he's not aware of what's going on around him sometimes. And it's not the first time he won't get blamed for it, but sometimes he's not aware of what's going on around him. And that seems to be his biggest issue at the moment. At the end of the day, the goal, it's a great free kick. It's a great point to the area. It was just looped in. It's a typical Burnley goal when we look at it. But it's one of them. It's hard to be disappointed with the whole aspect. Do you think that we were blowing a little bit? And as Kaguma pointed out there, we were a bit tired from Saturday, or do you just think it was because we wasn't creating any clear-cut chances, and I think that was the worry tonight.
I think that I think the goal was a body blow. I think if we'd have got the goal, they'd have found that extra yard to see it through. But I think when the goal scored that late, was it 78 minutes or thereabouts? It was always likely to be the winning goal, and we didn't look a lot like scoring. You kept looking and thinking, can we do it again? But Watford, Leicester, Manchester City, I think there comes a point where that luck's got to run out. So
And just go throw it into perspective. That was our ninth defeat of the season. Ninth. And the reason why I'm pointing that out, Burnley have only lost 9. Newcastle have only lost 10.
Mm.
You know, are these defeats coming back to, if we didn't have the run when Conte first came in, would we be in a relegation battle? The basic question is, are the players good enough to even make Champions League football right now?
I don't think there's a lot between. I think the problem is, though, your question is that there are 2 top teams. There is one extremely good teams, and then underneath them there are 4 or 5 teams that are of a similar level. I mean, I keep thinking we're going to go on a run. We're going to go on a run, and then now you look at it, we've lost 4 in 5.
Run.
So it's not what I was expecting at all. And we don't now have the depth, but we don't have the depth up front. I mean, I do worry about Sonny, and I don't know who else could play there. He could play more up top with and leave him out and play Kulusevski, but we don't have a lot of options.
Do you think it's worth trying? And this is going to sound really weird. Sessegnon on that left-hand side, because that's where he got a lot of joy for Fulham, and did play there for Fulham in the Premier League when they were there. Do you think it's worth a try, or?
I don't think Sess is ready. I'm not sure about him, to be honest with you. I think he doesn't look like he's got confidence. There was once late on where he did get round the back just before he was substituted, and put the ball absolutely, 8 yards out, and no one's running in. And he deserves someone's running in there. It's a tap in, but Sessegnon to me isn't giving us enough for me to make him a regular starter. Yeah. So no.
Actually, that's a good point, because I was thinking about that chance in the game. And is it a case of, we might, there's a case that when we do put balls in the box, nobody's in there, and is that one of our biggest problems?
Well, I think that's right, but I think that was just a collective failure. Maybe because Sessegnon hadn't put a ball in all game, that the players aren't anticipating that he just might. And I think that's what they've actually mentally switched off. The ball goes in, and there's absolutely no one there. I mean, Gaguma said in the chat there about not creating chances. That could have been a tap in for Moura, for Son, or for Harry Kane. So yeah, a lot of work to do.
I can see it. I can see on your face. It's probably a more frustrating night, because it hasn't been the worst performance out of all our defeats, and it's a case of it was one of them games that could have gone in either direction.
Yeah,
but it was. But is it a case of we've got to dust ourselves off, because if we lose to Leeds on Saturday, as I've pointed out before on other streams, we're not great at 12:30 kickoffs away.
I hadn't even thought of that.
So is it a case of if we lose to Leeds, it's okay? Where do we go this season? What is the expectation?
I'll be on a golf course in the Costa Blanca on Hoppus 12 or Hoppus 1.
We'll take you with you.
Well, yeah, we time got moved. Otherwise, I was going to be off the course in time to watch it. How do you know what did it finish? I haven't looked at the other scores yet. How many did Liverpool were 3 up? So
Liverpool were 3 up. Crystal Palace 1-4-1.
Yeah, they were 2-1 up at half time. I haven't looked because I've just done that. I made notes while
Liverpool won 6-0.
6-0. Well, you'd like to think that there'll be some sort of negative reaction. Leeds are not a good side this season, albeit they're the kind of side that gives us problems.
Is it a case of, actually, for Leeds, best team to play right now will be Spurs at home? Because when you look at how we're so Jekyll and Hyde this season, we seem to just not be winning games at the moment. And you take City out of it. Like you said, that's 5 out of the last four games we've lost. So is it a case of actually Leeds would prefer to play us at home right now than anybody else, because they kind of know what football we're going to play?
Yeah.
If you go 3-4-3.
Yeah. And I think on another day, Marlon, we win. You know, today was marginal. I'm disappointed. There's been times when I've maybe done streams or we've come on where you're actually angry because the performance has been so poor, lack of effort, whatever. You can't fault the players. There's maybe we lack a little bit of quality, but we know that. And football, like a lot of things in life, it's small margins between success and failure. So I'm just disappointed. But I'd like, if we play, you know, as well as that on at Leeds on Saturday, I think you know, I wouldn't rule us out, you know, winning comfortably. Maybe not 6-0, but you know, 2 or 3, and then we're all happy again. But just going back to your question before, where do we go? I think the we don't want to lose. We really need to get something on Saturday. But Middlesbrough next Wednesday is looking even more important, because I really, really do think that if we're looking at where we might get something and do something, then the FA, you've got to look at the FA Cup as giving us our best chance. You know, and at the end of the day, you're only 4 games. That's only 4 games, and that's how you know, when we were winning FA Cups regularly in the 80s, for example, that's how it was. It was just, we weren't going to ever be good or consistent enough to win the league in those days, but we could win half a dozen games and win a cup, and that's what we did. So that's, I think, who knows? But the season could fall very flat. We're not in a relegation battle. We're not going down. That's not going to happen. But yeah, mid-table isn't what Conte's here for.
Yeah. And my last question of the night, it's actually quite a good one, because we didn't play that badly. If you had to give a man of the match performance tonight to someone on the Spurs squad, which player stood out tonight and could come out of the game with their head held high?
I thought Romero. I mean, I said it earlier. I was really impressed with Romero. You maybe got some doubts. I will say one thing.
Yeah,
I thought the referee had an excellent game. I mean, I used to referee, so I watch referees very closely. When the conditions are difficult to play in, they're generally difficult to referee in. And he didn't get, you know, his correctness of decision was good. He didn't reach. I don't think there was a yellow card. And on a pitch like that, in conditions like that, against 2
he probably missed. Yeah, he probably missed out on 2 yellow cards, one for us and one for them.
Yeah.
But actually, since he was being consistent with it, I
Absolutely.
totally agree with you. He did referee the game really well, and it's about time actually when you look at it. And there weren't no VAR incidents; like it wasn't stopped long enough for VAR. So it kind of you have to kind of agree. He refereed the game tonight. It wasn't ref elsewhere.
Yeah. There was one on Winks, but you took one look at it and go, "There's no way in the world that's a penalty." So and we moved on. And you're absolutely right. There was no controversy, but he handled the game really well. But that wasn't what you asked me. But just sometimes people always come on and blast the referee when he's rubbish, but no one ever says when he's good. And I was really impressed with the way he handled that game.
Totally agree. Ian, I'll let you go and enjoy your holiday. Thank you for your time today. Anyone who watches, please like and subscribe. And as we always finish on, come on, you Spurs.
Night to you and night to Gaguma. Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.